Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, the scenery here is a little different. I'm in my car because my house is really loud. Today I'm going to be going over the game, the United States Women's National Team versus Japan in the last game of the She Believes Cup. Again, as usual, I'll be giving my analysis, my player analysis, what I thought about the game, what I think we need to change going forward, and just in general my thoughts surrounding how I thought we did. I wanted to apologize just for how long this video took me to get out. I've been busy with life, among other things. Why do you watch women's soccer? Let me know down below. It can be a long paragraph, it can be something short. Let me know because I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. As always, timestamps, everything will be down below. Without further ado, let's get started. The United States came out in their typical 4-3-3 formation. In goal, we had Adriana Franch. The back line was Crystal Dunn, Tierney Davidson, Abby Dahlkemper, and Kelly O'Hara. In the midfield was Lindsey Horan, Julia Ertz, Samantha Mewis, and up top we had Rapinoe, Christen Press, and Tobin Heath. Lindsey Horan started. I was very excited to see her play, along with Tierney Davidson. And then just to see Adriana Franch get some minutes in goal was really, I think it's good for her because I don't think she's going to be the second overall pick in the Olympics. But again, if Ashlyn Harris does end up being injured, which she's currently injured right now, then you want your backup keeper to have experience because you never know what can happen, especially in an Olympics. Japan came out in a 4-4-2 lineup, and as I've said before, I don't really know much about this team, so I don't really have a lot of analysis to say, but this is the lineup that they came out with. Crystal gets the ball and she plays it down line to Tobin, and the pass was just a little too heavy before the defender was able to get to it. Lindsey Horan wins the ball and then gets fouled. You guys, when this happened, I was there, and the way that everybody reacted, I thought she was seriously hurt. I'm glad to see that she was able to get up and continue playing throughout this game because she's a huge part of this team. And then Rapinoe, that is just world class. I mean, come on. That strike couldn't have been better. That is so good. And with each angle, every time I watch it, I'm like, that's just so good. She got it on target, in the corner. Keeper was, I think maybe if she was on her line, maybe she could have had a better chance of getting it. But again, it was phenomenal from her. Here's an example of when Japan did a good job at solving our press. They did a good job of going forward at us, but then I noticed what they would do is they would kind of go back, be a little bit more patient in their attack, and Crystal Dunn is just, she's world class. I mean, come on. Her 1v1 defending is so good. On Japan's corner, nothing came out of it. Christen was able to clear the ball. Here's an example I wanted to show of the formation we were playing defensively. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but just notice how far in Tobin is pinched. Here, Rapinoe throws the ball in. Sam makes a nice run and gets a good cross off. I don't even know what's going on here. I don't know what the ref was calling, but Kristen's shot ended up going wide. Long ball over top. Rapinoe gets to it, sizes up her defender, and her cross was just too much. Rapinoe wins the ball, plays it to Christen, plays it wide to Tobin, and she just couldn't get her hips turned enough to try to get this off as maybe a cross, and so it came off as like a weird shot. There was another one of Japan's opportunities. Lindsey Horan cleared it. Here, Japan's keeper made a terrible clearance. Rapinoe gets it, plays it to Christen, who just does what she does best. She turns, looks up, chips the keeper. I mean, come on. That you can't do better than that. And this was one of the only opportunities she had this game, and she puts them away. And so, you know, she's just such a great player, and this play was so good that we were able to capitalize on their mistakes. And similarly here, there was a similar situation, but Christen tries to pull it back, and there's just too many defenders for her to get her shot off. Again, Japan tries to go forward, but Crystal Dunn is just a magician 1v1. One of their corners, again, nothing came out of a lot of their corners. Let me know if you think that was a penalty kick. I don't think it was. I think it was just a shoulder challenge, and obviously Tierna is bigger and stronger than that other girl, so she went down. Rapinoe's ball was just too square for it to work out, but it was still a good idea from her and Tobin. I wanted to show this example of Tobin's defensive work because she put in a huge defensive shift, and I'll talk more about that later, but Kelly got caught forward, Tobin recovered, and they were able. Lindsey Horan lost the ball, and Japan did a good job of turning, facing up, and capitalizing on our mistake here, and the shot was just a little wide. I think Kelly might have gotten a touch on it, but it ended up being goal kick anyway. Japan's corner kick went right to Adriana French. This was one of the opportunities when Lindsey was able to get wide. Kelly's touch just kind of set her up a little bit weirdly, but we ended up getting a corner and nothing came out of it. This was one of Japan's opportunities in the second half. Tobin did a good job of tracking back, and I don't think this was necessary from her, but clearly she must have thought that she could have gotten the ball with the side tackle. I don't think it was malicious. I think it was just mistimed. Their free kick, nothing came out of it, but the rebound, that is a fantastic strike. And Adriana French did a great job to get a hand on it. Great recovery. I don't know what the referee called it offsides on that play. That was one of Lindsey Horan's opportunities. Her touch just kind of let her down. Notice on that play here how far Rapinoe got caught up. Japan then capitalized on the space that she left. Sam didn't close down. Lindsey Horan kind of got caught in a weird spot. This player right here pulls Kelly wide, and Japan just gets a shot off. I was seeing some comments about how Adriana French should have saved this, and I don't know, you guys. I don't think she could have saved that. Let me know what you think. There was people in front of her, a lot of traffic. Everything happened so fast, I don't think Alyssa Nair would have saved that. Another one of Japan's opportunities, Kumagai's header just didn't really connect as much as she probably wanted it to. This was one of our free kick opportunities. Nothing came of it. Again, Japan got the ball, went through our midfield. Again, I don't know. The ref called something here too. I don't know what it was, if it was offsides. This is one of Japan's corners. Again, that's a great opportunity. Something easily could have come out of that. Here we can see just how fast Casey Short is. I mean, girl, that is so fast. And Tobin made a nice run in the middle, but Casey 1v1 just didn't work out. And then here's another opportunity. Becky did a great job defending that, but they ended up getting a corner out of it, which is fine. But I felt like Carly and Mallory kind of got caught in a weird position, but luckily Adriana French was able to recover. Another one of Japan's opportunities, I felt like Mallory and Casey weren't really working down that side. We got lucky because it hit off of the inside of the post. Tobin couldn't clear it. Luckily, the cross wasn't anything threatening enough, and Becky was able to head it out, and Julie was able to send it far up the field. One time Mallory got forward. I think Carly should have done better with that, but again, it was her first chance of the night. This was the corner that we earned, and the service in from Mallory was perfect. Lindsey Horan's header, I'm sorry, you cannot do better than that. The placement was perfect. She beat her defender. Everything about this is fantastic. And I think that's why we need to focus on mixing it up within our corner kicks, because we have players in the box who can do just that. So that was fantastic from her. And then when Carly did this, I got flashbacks to the 2015 World Cup. If that went in, oh my gosh, that would have been so cool.
The United States. We did not look like ourselves in any way, shape, or form. We didn't keep possession really in any sort of sense. I felt like we were very rushed in our attack and kind of in general and in every aspect of the field. I don't think that we truly sat down and was like, okay, let's just keep the ball and try to possess it and then go forward. I think we were way too direct. Japan's back line was playing more deep, so I don't understand that train of thought in that sense. If we're playing a team where their back line is pushed up super far and the gap between their keeper and their defense is huge, send it over top all game, who cares? But especially as we know from Japan and seeing them from this tournament, their keeper plays super high off her line, so they're really, in my opinion, this whole idea of playing super direct didn't make a lot of sense to me, because most of the time it didn't work. And I'll put some examples up of Abby Dahlkemper did it a lot, Sam Mewis did it a lot, Tierna Davidson had a few where they just sent it over top and no one was there to run onto it because there wasn't enough space to run in behind the back line where the keeper wouldn't come out and get it, if that makes sense. I think we had a lot of bad giveaways. Julia Ertz didn't seem like she was having her best game. In her defense, she's played like every minute of this entire tournament, so she's, I'm sure, exhausted. But I just think in general we look sloppier than normal. But again, I don't know if that's just because of the lineup he chose to put out, or if it's just the fact that they've had little time to rest and they've had to fly across the country or whatnot. Another thing I wanted to point out is we had a weird defensive shape. Our front line was 3 people, right? So if the ball's on, let's say it's on the left side of the field, when Pino will press, Christen Press will kind of hover in the middle to try to cut off any passing lanes, and Tobin will pinch in, but Vlatko wanted her to come so far over that it was almost like Tobin was playing right next to Christen in the middle. Inevitably, Japan would switch the ball across the field, and Tobin would then have to turn and sprint to try to cut off the passing lane from her side of the field. And then the same thing would happen. Christen would slide over, and Pino would tuck super far in. And here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with pressing like that, but you run into an issue when you step too hard and you can't recover in time. Because we noticed, especially with the goal they ended up scoring on us, Pino came so far over to try to cut the passing lane off, but it didn't work because they ended up playing it into the space that she had previously occupied, and she wasn't there anymore because she was trying to contain. And in that situation, we have to have a midfielder slide over to cover that position, but we didn't have that in Sam Mewis, and she didn't do that in that situation. You know, you could see a handful of times where Kelly was stuck with in a 2v1 situation because Tobin couldn't come back in time to press, and Lindsey Horan or Sam Mewis didn't do a good enough job of covering her space for her. So it was just a weird limbo of trying to keep their defensive shape, but also getting completely pulled out of their line by Japan because they're very good at that. And so I wasn't really sure what Vlatko's train of thought was in that situation, but I guess you have to test your options. But in that situation, I don't think that we should have been doing that. Something I wanted to point out that I thought was interesting is that our first 2 goals came off of complete defensive errors from Japan. So for example, the first foul on Lindsey Horan, grabbed her shirt, pushed her down, that's a foul, right? And let's say that never happened, that free kick would have never happened, and Megan Rapinoe might have never had a shot on goal or even had an opportunity to score. Christen's goal. Megan Rapinoe intercepted the ball off of a poor giveaway from the Japanese goalkeeper. Played it to Christen who turned, phenomenal chip over the top, but again, that came from a defensive error. Our third goal, however, nothing that they could have done to stop that. I mean, poor marking in the box, but Lindsey Horan's one of those players where it doesn't really matter who you are or who's marking her, she's gonna score. And so that ball into her was fantastic. That header couldn't have been better. And that's, in my opinion, was the best goal of the game just because it was set up from our end and it wasn't off of Japan's mistakes, if that makes sense. Not to take anything away from the other 2 goals, obviously, but just to say that I think in that situation, let's say those other 2 goals never happened because against a team like France, maybe they wouldn't have made those mistakes. That corner goal, that's going to count every single time. I think overall, we got the result we wanted. We can go forward from what we learned from this tournament. We got to play a lot of players, test new options, and I think Vlatko is going to come away from this tournament with a lot of information to take forward into the Olympics. Tobin Heath. Okay. I don't think Tobin had the greatest tournament or even the greatest game. I think she looked off. Under Vlatko, clearly there's a new system, there's new coaching, there's new style. There's going to be things Vlatko is trying to incorporate that maybe she's not used to. Maybe that's not necessarily her style. We can see from Pino and from Tobin that neither of them are getting wide when we have the ball, and when we get the ball, neither of them ever really drove forward to try to create a play. I mean, to be fair to both of them, the entire game, we never really genuinely created an opportunity with both of them on the field where we dribbled and went forward and connected and almost scored. I think she was great defensively. Obviously, that's an aspect of Tobin's game that she's not going to lack on. She gets back, she does the dirty work, she does a great job at covering and pressing. I mean, being there in person, I can see just how hard she works and the amount of running she does to actually try to cut off passing lanes and do stuff. So I think that's not an issue in her game currently. I think she lost the ball a lot. There was one moment where, in the second half, I remember watching her. She got the ball, and it looked like for a split second she was going to dribble forward. And then she stopped, and then she went inside, and it was like she was trying to find a pass. And that's just not Tobin. That's not what we're used to seeing. Obviously, she's not a ball hog by any means, but if she has space, she's going to take it. And so I don't know if that's coached, because in my opinion, I think it is currently, because that's not something that myself, at least, I'm not used to seeing that from her. So again, I think she's just trying to adapt to this new coaching style, and hopefully going forward, everything will mesh together nicely. Christen Press. Christen is phenomenal. I have said this in the past. Obviously, I don't really want to be a broken record, but she deserves to start in every situation that she's healthy to play in. And if that means Tobin or Rapinoe has to sit on the bench, then so be it, because she's producing goals currently that they're not. And so that's just the way that the world works. And her goal was fantastic. You know, she executed everything she needed to do, and she deserves to start going forward. Megan Rapinoe. You guys, my analysis on her is so up and down. One day, I'm like, she doesn't need to start. This is terrible. What the heck? And then the next day, she goes and scores the goal like that. And I'm just like getting whiplash trying to figure it out. And so I think with Rapinoe, currently what we're seeing is a complete and utter inconsistency between performances. And that's not a bad thing. That's just the way the world's currently going for her. In my last video, I said she doesn't need to take free kicks. And then literally in person, me sitting there, I looked to my dad and I said, she does not need to take that. Tobin needs to take it. Christen needs to take it. Frick Sam Mewis needs to take it. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I guess we'll see. And then she scores, and I felt like an idiot because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, oh no, you guys. She's so like hit or miss. She's a phenomenal player. I'm not taking that away from her. Defensively, I actually saw her put in defensive work. You guys, that made me so happy. Her assist was phenomenal. She did a great job at just surveying the situation. She held her press when she needed to. She went forward when she needed to. Let me know what you guys think about Megan Rapinoe's performance down below, because I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Lindsey Horan. You know, she had her moments where she had a bad pass, or defensively it wasn't the best. But again, like I said, I think everybody sort of had an off game. But her header, phenomenal. It couldn't have been better than that. The way that just tucked into the near post, that keeper didn't have a prayer. I wanted to bring up that's why I don't like these near post corners, you guys. Every single time a near post corner, players like Lindsey Horan and Sam Mewis and others who are in the box just waiting to get their head on it, they never get that opportunity. And I don't dislike near post corners, but when we do it every time, like I said in my other video, it's too predictable. And so I think we can see from this game clearly that we have players in the box who can score great headers. Overall, I don't think she necessarily had the best game, but her header was phenomenal. Her work rate was so good. And she's a fantastic player, and I love watching her play. Sam Mewis. I don't think Sam played well. That's kind of saying something considering not everybody did very good. If you compare her stats from the other two midfielders with Julie and Lindsey, she just didn't perform the same that they did. Defensively, she was off. Offensively, she was way too direct. And again, I don't know if that's coached, because it very easily could be, but I just think from seeing her style of play over the years, she seems like a way more of a direct player. And like I said earlier, with Japan's low line, with the fact that their keeper is very active off of her line, I just don't think that those direct balls over top were really the answer. I don't think she ever really eased into the game, and I don't really think we saw her potential or saw the form that we saw during the World Cup. Mallory Pugh. I'm glad to see Mallory Pugh back get some minutes. I think she did well. She had a few moments where she dribbled the ball way too much, lost it, and then didn't really get back. I think her and Casey Short didn't really have a very good understanding of how they wanted to be position-wise or communication-wise. And again, they don't play together very often, so it's not like I'm expecting a Tobin Heath and a Kelly O'Hara type partnership. But you could definitely see that down their side of the field, they're getting beat a lot. So that's something to point out. She had a phenomenal assist off of a corner kick. In my opinion, overall, she brings a different energy to the field that Jessica McDonald doesn't bring. And so currently, just based off of her 30 minutes on the field, I think she's a better option than Jessica McDonald. I'm excited to see the type of player she can be. She's 21. She has so much ahead of her, and I'm just really excited to see what she can do in her future. That's all I have to say for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. I don't know. Tell me why you didn't like it. If you agree with me, let me know what you think. If you don't agree with me, again, let me know what you think. But remember to keep the comments respectful. There's really no point in harsh criticism, I guess. I mean, I have no issue with constructive criticism, but I think there's a difference between being constructive and positive and being harsh and ugly. You know what I mean? Let's stay on the side of the positivity. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe out there with Corona. I'll see you guys in my next video.